Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and this is episode number 19 of our playthrough of Suzerain Rizia. Last episode we had a meeting about the Meftium International Trade Zone, MITZ. It's where a lot of gold mining takes place. Rizia has a pretty major interest in keeping her share of the gold, so the meeting was about the nationalization of MITZ. We rejected that proposal with Patricio Alvarez on our side, Emmerich Hegel of Vogsland, and the Morellan Prime Minister on the other side. It was a draw. We didn't completely shoot them down or close the door to renegotiating the terms of MITZ. Goal is to long-term kind of cut Lesbia out and take her place and her gold. Gold is good. So we've got workings there. The situation in Zille is due to come to a head fairly soon. We're still waiting to hear about the gas fields from the kind of the UN of this game, arbitration of the conflict there. Hopefully that works out in our favor, but for now, episode number 19, we're going to be dealing with some internal security matters. Hugo and Lucita rose to their feet the moment I stepped into the council chambers. My return journey from Morella had just concluded, and with hours of being back on Rizian soil, I was called for an internal security meeting. Good evening, Your Majesty. I hope you're not too tired from your trip. Yes, thanks for coming on such short notice. I know you must have many other pressing appointments. After such a taxing board meeting, I'd like to unwind with a glass of Swordish whiskey. I don't want to be late to the Rukist Tabernacle Choir performance this evening. Nothing is more pressing than Rizia's security. I'm assuming you have news for me? We do, Your Majesty. I sat in my designated seat at the head of the table. Hugo and Lucita took their respective seats. Aides placed folders full of information in front of each of us, and glasses of water were poured. Your Majesty, the main reason we called you here is that there's been a breakthrough in the Friendship Day bombing investigation. Here we go. That's what happened with Zille here. Lucita beamed with pride and handed me a sheet of paper. Thanks to your willingness to further fund our intelligence capabilities, our team in Wayland was able to locate and identify material used in the explosive device. That's good news. That means they were behind it. Kind of had an idea. You guys may be getting sick of me talking smack about Victor Smolak, but deal with it. Or bear with me. I hate the guy. I have ever since my first playthrough in Season 1. I'll link to that at the end of the episode, so you can check it out and find out why. Anyway, we found a number of capacitors and resistors which are crucial for creating precise and dependable triggering mechanisms. Despite the fire damage, we were able to trace them back to Circuit Rise Systems, an electronics manufacturer in Palles. Its main contractor is the government of the Grand Duchy. I wouldn't have expected the Palles to be involved. So Duke Reinhardt planned the bombing? Why am I not surprised? That doesn't mean anything. Those parts could have been ordered by someone in Rizia, Wayland, or anywhere else. Palles and Rizia have had our ups and downs, but I have a hard time believing Reinhardt would take such a drastic action. Go with that one. I understand your reservations, but I believe that this evidence warrants further investigation at the very least. Tell me, Justice Cesaro, what would Palles have to gain from masterminding the friendship incident? It is possible the bombing is part of a larger strategy to establish himself as a dominant power in the region. Reinhardt thought I'd be more accommodating to Palles than my father. When that wasn't the case, he launched a campaign to destroy Rizia from within. Oh, Henry Kissinger would like this one. If the Palesians were responsible, it must have had something to do with the Oris gas field. Well, Duchess, what do you think? I'm going to go with this one. That would track with their aggressive pursuit of the Oris gas fields. Yes, I doubt that it was a coincidence that the bombing occurred in the middle of the gas field exploration. Sowing discord between Rizia and Wayland might have been a way to create enough destabilization that we'd be entering negotiations from a place of vulnerability. It didn't work. We refused to see the gas field without a fight. Uncovering conclusive proof that Palles... Hold up. That was my job. I actually have a job. Believe it or not, I do have a job. And they call me at my house at 7:30 at night. Uncovering conclusive proof that Palles planned the Friendship Day attack would surely help us win the arbitration case. Oh, I like your thinking. In my opinion, the evidence we found more than justifies a closer investigation into Palesian connections. What's more, we could easily delegate this investigation to our already established intelligence unit in Palles without spending an extra cent. That's very frugal of you, Duchess Cesaro. However, I still think you barked up the wrong tree? I'm not convinced. Shifting focus to Palles might complicate our diplomatic relationship. I'm hesitant to pursue a deeper investigation into Palles because of the potential backlash, particularly if it were to surface publicly. I don't really have much choices here. I want to side with her. I'm willing to side with her because she's kind of right. Refocusing our efforts towards Palles might very well be our best course of action. Okay. I guess I do have options. I didn't read that right. I'm siding with her because she's my chick. And she's right. I'm not convinced. Shifting priorities risks harming our relationship with Palles and escalating tensions regionally. Our primary concern should be Wayland's deoccupation of Zille. And the fastest way to achieve that is by confirming Wezek's involvement in the bombing. But we not at the same meeting, dude? He's my uncle, by the way. He's like chief of staff, chief advisor. Are we not at the same meeting? On the other hand, Your Grace, what if it turns out Wayland is innocent? If we keep pursuing them in the absence of concrete leads, Smolak may use it as justification to hold on to Zille, especially after our failure to come to a diplomatic agreement. Just say the word, Your Majesty, and I'll immediately direct our efforts towards a more extensive investigation of Palles. That's where the evidence is pointing. I understand your concerns about Wayland Hugo, but I believe we have no other choice but to shift focus and make Palles our #1 priority, and I thought you said you could do that without costing us anything. Oh, it did. We'll lose some authority, which we got a shit ton of. I've heard enough. I'm giving you a royal order for your investigation to switch their focus to Palles. And it's free. Excellent. I'll promptly deliver the results of the investigation to you as soon as they're available. Hugo shuffled some papers around. Now that that's settled, I believe there are a number of other less urgent security issues up for discussion. There are indeed. Where would you like to start? Let's discuss threats from within the populace. She shook her head hurriedly. Not among the general public, Your Majesty. And I'm happy to report that there are no signs of anti-monarchist turmoil within our noble houses. In other words, I'm loved by all, Romus the Beloved. Are you absolutely sure there's no resentment simmering beneath Rizia's peaceful exterior? There's no point in digging deeper. I'm loved by all. Everybody loves Romus. Romus the Beloved. There was a slight wistful tone to her voice as she repeated the words. Any other topics we should cover? Yeah, but Hugo can't be here for him. Let me think. What's happening with our border security? There isn't much to report, but it's worth mentioning that there has been a surge of Blutish migrants attempting to cross the Gulf of Mordia. Taking advantage of Rizia's open borders, perhaps we should have agreed on Mr. Smolak's Blutish ban after all. Those Blutish migrants have become a constant source of frustration. Why now? Yeah, does it relate to Wayland's anti-Blutish campaign? We believe so. While we haven't observed a significant push, we know they're conducting covert operations to suppress Blutish communities within their border. It can't be a coincidence that increasing in migration coincides with my decision not to assist Wayland's campaign of oppression. Wayland's testing us. That's certainly a possibility, however, we mustn't assume anything. It could just be a coincidence. Speaking of which, just this morning, one of our patrol vessels intercepted an overcrowded Blutish migrant ship crossing the Gulf. And they were lucky we did. Our investigative team determined that had they stayed out any longer, the ship would have been at risk of sinking. 500-plus asylum seekers are currently being processed at one of our migrant facilities. Good that they were intercepted in time. It's important to consider the long-term solutions to prevent such situations. Having covered that, I believe I've touched upon all the key aspects of the issue. I expect you to have some news for me regarding... I want to learn about Zille. Pleased to report that our funding of Su Omina has commenced without a hitch. They've been using the resources wisely, primarily for procuring weapons and establishing supply lines. Su Omina is a ultra-nationalist Rizian group that we are kind of putting to work in Zille to maybe shuffle things up a little bit for Smolak. We haven't initiated any major operations as of yet, but our preparations are well underway. What kind of operations? I do worry about this escalating into a situation that spirals out of control. Even though these types of heavy-handed operations don't sit well with me, they may produce the best results. Are they following the strategies we discussed? They are indeed. Su Omina is focusing on guerrilla warfare, sabotage of essential services, and slowly building support among the local population. Strategically, they're taking a patient, calculated approach to yield the best results. Our objective to regain control of Zille from Wayland's grasp are clear. Knowing Su Omina like I do, they are resolute in their mission to reunite Zille and Rizia. How well are they coordinating with ATA's efforts in Zille? I'm curious whether these initiatives will produce a comparable impact to our more diplomatic approaches such as ATA. How are they doing? They've been promoting pro-Rizian sentiment, but it's causing a clash with Su Omina's approach. How so? ATA's cultural exchange programs and festivals, as noble as they are seen by Suomi as a way to dilute their influence. The more the people engage in these activities, the less they're inclined to support Suomi's more extreme methods. I'm not worried about it. Squabbling will only encourage them to redouble their effort and come up with innovative solutions. We need to find a solution to this unnecessary mess. The battle for the hearts and minds of people. I don't want these two groups working at cross purposes. I suggest facilitating a dialogue between ATA and Suomi. Perhaps they could find common ground or areas where they can collaborate. It's essential to ensure that their friction doesn't escalate the unrest further. I can't see Suomi altering their tactics. They are keen on maintaining a firm image and avoiding any perception of weakness, and the ATA doesn't exactly project strength. You're right, Lucida. We must bring them to the table and find out what the two groups want to work together. I'll start the negotiations immediately, Your Majesty. We need to unify. We need unity if we're to stabilize Zille. What about Izza? Your Majesty, this... My God. The situation in Izza remains fraught with challenges. The local migrant population continues to complain of unfair treatment, which has led to further pushback against the city's police force. My son has been overwhelmed trying to restore order. His men are stretched to their limit. Lucida straightened in her seat, seemingly eager to intervene. Unfortunately, Your Grace, I believe your son is part of the problem. With the Duke's public support of Suomi, the group has become even bolder. We're seeing increased violence, and there have been reports of clashes in the streets. Following your advice, Lucida, I refrain from deploying central police. It seems that's backfired. This is being blown out of proportion. I'm sure the situation isn't as critical as it seems. With all due respect, it is. Whoops. Must be immediately dealt with before it spirals out of control. Agreed. Something must be done fast. The provincial police in Brennus have offered their cooperation. However, given their soft stance on foreigner-committed crimes in Celebes and jails, I know someone corrected my pronunciation of one of these, I just don't remember what it is. They'll try and overthrow Rico if given half the chance. We shouldn't rely on them. Rico's hardline stance isn't working. I wouldn't risk it, not with Izza's current lack of order. I believe we should honor the Duke's request for reinforcements. That's not what you said before. Hugo fixed her with a stare. And whose jurisdiction would they be under? Yours, I suppose? Well, yes. Allowing my department to take over law enforcement will leave the Duke free to focus on his other governing duties. I like that idea. Perhaps it's time a grown-up took the reins over there. I'd be insulting my cousin, who's kind of a douche. Don't get greedy. Makes you think you'll succeed where he failed. Your Majesty, look at my track record as Duchess of Monteclar. I know a thing or two about restoring order. The Central Police are needed to quell the unrest, but should operate independently from local authorities. Therefore, I will place them under Lucida's command. It's evident that the Central Police are needed to quell unrest, so I will deploy them and place them under Rico's command. I don't think anything else is needed. I'm going to give them to her. Because my son is trying to maintain order in Izza, denying him this power. Thank you for your confidence, Your Majesty. Rest assured their allegiance will be to the crown, not any faction. Let's adjourn. Hugo rose from his seat. No objection from me. I wouldn't mind getting to bed early tonight anyway. After saying their goodbyes, Hugo and Lucida took their leave. I checked my watch. We'd concluded the briefing in a timely manner. The weight of our internal security discussion still lingered in the air as I stood alone in the room. With a somber nod to the vacant chairs, I departed, ready to face the responsibilities that lay beyond the meeting room. Okay. What else do we have to do here? Read the news. Royal Herald officially endorses Rizia National Coalition in provincial elections. We live in tumultuous times. It is only by the grace of the blessed Rizian monarchy and Romus the Beloved that we are able to muddle through. And so this year it is more important than ever that the Rizian National Coalition take the helm in your provincial councils and the House of Delegates. Only the RNC can be counted on to protect the values and traditions we hold dear, to safeguard the interests of hardworking landowners and the commoners who depend on them. The party's vision aligns seamlessly with the enduring legacy of the Rubaz dynasty, ensuring that the bedrock of our society remains firm amidst the storm of change. The world around us may be shifting, but the RNC stands as a beacon of constancy and resilience. Their leadership will not only preserve the sanctity of the monarchy, but also propel our kingdom to greater heights. It is therefore with utmost conviction that the Royal Herald endorses the Rizian National Coalition. Stand with them. Stand with tradition. Stand with Rizia. There we go. Tragedy strikes as migrant ship capsizes in Gulf of Mordia. In a heart-wrenching incident, a brutish migrant ship tragically capsized in the treacherous waters of the Gulf of Mordia. Devastating event resulted in numerous casualties, while a fortunate few were rescued from the perilous sea. As the world mourns this catastrophic loss of life, questions arise surrounding the root cause of such desperate migration. Many are pointing fingers at the oppressive policies of Wayland, the country of origin for these migrants, which have led to an alarming surge in immigration as minority communities seek refuge from persecution, and makes Wayland look bad, which is good. Let's see. Our construction projects are coming along nicely, about halfway done on the naval base expansion, the border fortifications, and the other border fortifications. Let's see, what do we have? RNC kicks off election campaign. With a large rally on the Taurus Square, the RNC officially kicked off their election campaign for the upcoming House of Delegates elections. Tens of thousands of supporters gathered, waving Rizian and House Taurus flags, chanting their support for the King's Party. Leaders of the RNC and speakers of the HOD Daria Durava delivered a rousing speech with a short appearance by Hugo Torres himself, sending the crowd wild. My uncle doesn't really seem like any type of person to be sending anyone wild, but RPP turns Izza into Sea of Yellow. Thousands of yellow flags and people wearing yellow clothes filled the streets of Izza over the past week, culminating in a rally featuring a speech by Mana Cezanne and an art performance of the Ghosts of Democracy, the new mascot for the RPP's electoral campaign. With this unique display of force, the RPP has set itself up for a strong and recognizable campaign. All right. Football League's quality decline. Rizian football industry, once a vibrant and cultural significant sector, has now downgraded. By football, they mean soccer. The lack of support from the Rizian monarch and state has led to a severe decline in the quality and popularity of the leagues, especially the lower divisions. Stadiums are increasingly empty, and local talent is migrating in search of better opportunities. This dire situation poses a cultural crisis and threatens to erase a cherished part of Rizian's national identity: soccer. Rizians will score soon enough. Doesn't cost me any money. Oh shit, it did. Whoops. Well, we're broke. Global Football Association announced league rankings. The GFA has announced its latest. All right, well, go ahead and read it. All right. Go. RNC hopes to secure Montclair support by embarking on a massive flyering campaign, providing leaflets to every household. The RNC hopes to secure its support in Montclair, as the biggest city in the Azaro-ruled region, which traditionally votes for the Crown Party but has an ever-diversifying population. It is considered a vital piece of electoral puzzle for the party. Opposition figures lodged complaint against Rizian Radio. At the Rizian Radio central broadcasting location of Fulse Dator, several RPP figures have gathered to formally complain against the dominance the RNC enjoys on the airwaves. Oh, media bias, really? In Rizia? The opposition claims that due all radio stations state-controlled, there's no space for RPP viewpoints to be represented in the electoral campaign. Rizian Radio has already replied that they will continue to broadcast RNC ads as before, so suck it, opposition. Former oil workers organized for RPP. The RPP has found an unlikely ally in the former Nelvisar oil field workers. The small, predominantly native Rizian village has traditionally been a bastion of RNC support, but given the recent disregard of workers' rights by the Crown and the loss of jobs given the field closures, I wonder what the gas people think about me and who they're voting for. Gas is the way of the future. Anything else? In order to ensure a smooth election process, the Electoral Commission has put out a call for volunteers to help watch polls and count votes when the time comes. I have done that job before in my local polling place, and I can tell you it is no treat. To reward volunteers, each of them will reward a medal of... I didn't get a medal. I got lunch. I had to buy my own dinner, though. Yeah. Noah is very amused by that. Alright, what's up here? Call from Chancellor Hegel. Should we get into this now? Why not? In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a knocking on my bedroom door. I heard Pavel's voice in the hallway. Sorry, Romus, but there's an apparently urgent call from you downstairs. Come in and help me get dressed. Oh, you don't need to do that. I'm a grown man. I quickly dressed and joined Pavel in the hallway. How you doing, Pavel? He's my best friend, by the way. Glad to hear it. We walked through the palace corridors until we reached my study. An attendant stood ready with the blue phone. He informed me that Chancellor Emmerich Hegel was on the line. Notice they didn't give me the option just to hang up. Stiff him. You better have a good reason for calling me in the middle of the night, old man. Good evening, Mr. Hegel. Hello there, Mr. Taurus. Truly sorry to disturb you at this hour, but we have an unfinished business. It's too late to change my mind about the nationalization vote. What's done is done. Your apology is not accepted. You should be speaking in daylight hours accompanied by our staff. Yes, the vote is concluded, but the future of the ITZ is by no means set in stone. Despite your refusal to grant self-determination to Morella and its mines, I still see a chance for cooperation between us. Democratic Republic of Volksland would deign to cooperate with a monarchy? Normally no, but there is one point on which we may agree. The Republic of Lesbia does not belong in the Meftium International Trade Zone. Another East-West battle. You should know that as a member of Grace, Rizia is obligated to stay uninvolved. You're wrong about that. Lesbia has played and will continue to play an integral role in the trade zone. Prime Minister's behavior was appalling. As much as I personally dislike the man, he's a mere symptom of the disease called capitalism. Capitalism's what kept MITZ running. Let me lay it out for you, Mr. Torres. Prime Minister Sultana is planning to reopen negotiations on the MITZ profit-sharing agreement. Any new versions will have to be approved by 3 out of the 4 countries on the board. Say you wanted to make an agreement where Lesbia came away with nothing. Well, yeah, as long as Volksland approved it, it would still pass. You understand what I'm saying? I do. I think I know what you're getting at, and I like it. You'll be invited to Morella for negotiations soon. I want you to make sure Lesbia receives a small share as possible. And at the end of the day, I'm only asking you to act in Rizia's best interest. It would certainly be advantageous for Rizia to keep our share of ITZ profits. If we end up with more than Lesbia, so much the better. It is our net interest to work out a deal with Lesbia and Morella. Volksland input is... That's what most accurately reflects my own personal thinking in it. Don't get too greedy. Needless to say, we still expect that you will make up for the way Rizia treated Morella over the years. You're in no position to make demands, Chancellor. We'll go with that one. You denied better working conditions to your own countrymen. You'll excuse my skepticism. But if you do need a further incentive, Volksland cannot publicly support a monarchy like Rizia, especially after the way you voted. But we can sell you our naval equipment, which, as I need not remind you, is vastly superior to Rizia's own. Make sure Lesbia winds up with nothing, and Volksland will assist you with a significant upgrade. Oh, tempting. Tempting. There we go. I don't need to convince you of Volksland's dominance over the seas. Our warships and submarines are second to none. Still, my counselors will be against any form of cooperation with Volksland. If I'm going to stab Lesbia in the back, Rizia will definitely need to be able to defend itself afterwards. My counselors probably aren't going to be too happy about this. Isn't that the sole benefit of being a monarch? You can make decisions without spending months bogged down in government infighting. You should try it, it's great. In the end, I would never allow myself to override my government's checks and balances. But enough about our governments. I want to know whether I can count on your cooperation. You can. In exchange for the Navy deal you mentioned, I will shrink Lesbia's share of the MITZ. Oh, man, this one's a big one. I actually have to kind of remember it to do it when the time comes. Yeah, let's go for it. I'm glad this phone call was not a waste of both our times. His tone turned more conversational. For some reason, my people are crazy about the Rizian royal family, because of your history with the Volgos Empire, perhaps. Maybe it's because we're so good-looking. Everyone loves royals, Chancellor, even die-hard socialists. My people don't feel the same about Volgish aristocrats. Everyone loves royals. Your lifestyle inspires jealousy, if not your familial squabbles and the constant scrutiny you're under. Incidentally, you can count on Volksland's support in your current arbitration case. There we go! Another buddy! Buddies are good. Have our gratitude for that, good sir. I believe Rizia deserves it, but more importantly, the Aeon must respect the sovereign territory of islands. Good night, Your Majesty. Now, there's the respect I deserve. Good night, Mr. Hegel. Oh, that went good. That went pretty good. We have over here. Oh, we got more negotiations. Yeah. All right. RPP puts forward housing as campaign issue. Amid the worsening housing crisis in Porte Drazan, the RPP in recent weeks have started focusing their campaigns in the capital around the issue. The local RNC chapter has cautiously requested for the king to address the issue, fearing that otherwise the opposition might gain ground in their traditional Rizian Imperii stronghold. Militant nationalist group Su Omina has declared its support for the RNC, encouraging its sympathizers to vote for the king's party. The organization has announced its intention to protect polling stations from foreign actors. Oh, here we are. Way down here. Early voting starts. Traditionally, the first part of the country to vote, residents of the island of Qualacabes have started heading to the polls. Custom dictates that votes on the island are to be tallied in the mainland. Therefore, early voting is required to ensure the votes can make it over in time. Are they swimming it over? Results won't be announced till the rest of the country's voted. Anything else? I don't think so. So we'll read the news. Bogsland supports Rizia's arbitration claim. Bogslandian Chancellor Emmerich Hegel recently released a statement supporting the Kingdom of Rizia's claim to the recently discovered and hotly disputed Aureus gas field. In it, he emphasized that the Alliance of Nations must apply the maritime economic zones laid out in its directive on offshore resources to a country's entire coastline, including the islands. The statement came as a surprise considering the historic animosity between Bogsland and Rizia, and we imagine it was motivated by nothing more than self-interest. Should the Aeon rule in Palles favor the fishing and gas rights around Bogsland's own islands may be in danger. Alright, well, it is realpolitik after all. I am not going to get into more talks about that MITZ in this episode. We are looking... I want to see... Royal Council, House of Delegates. Not exactly what I want to see. Royal Council. No, it's not going to show me what I want. I was looking to see, like, maybe some type of polling information in terms of where we may be headed for this upcoming election. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Not a big fan of Emmerich Hegel, but he's on our side now. And that takes an actual real step towards my plan of cutting down Lesbia's portion of the gold, like I said at the beginning of the episode. Anyway, we're going to call this one right here. We'll go back and talk about MITZ in the next episode. If you like this one, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, tips, or advice, leave those in the comment section down below. If you want to follow along through Suzerain Rizia as we play Romus Taurus, Romus the Beloved, hit the subscribe, and we'll pick this up again in, I believe, episode number 20. J76NY saying thank you very much for watching and have yourself a very good day.